Hi friends, and welcome back to Rustic and Lace DIY. I am currently knee deep in craft room cleaning, so I put together a compilation video of some of the past Christmas and July DIYs. So sit back and relax and let's get to crafting. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. I'm going to use this fabric that I got from Dollar Tree, and then a 2x4 that we had laying around in our garage. So I'm going to start off by marking 3 different sizes. The first size was 8 inches. The second size is going to be 6 inches, and then the last size is 4 inches. Then after I did that, I took it out to my miter saw and cut them all down. And once they were all cut, I painted them all front and back and sides with my plaster color. After that, I'm going to take my antique wax and a sponge brush here, and I'm just going over the edges to make it look a little more distressed. And then I just wipe off the excess with my paper towel, and I did this on all of the corners on all of those pieces. Then I'm going to take some hot glue, and that fabric I cut into strips. I don't even think I measured, I just kind of eyed it. And then I just cut a whole bunch of strips out based on how many little squares there were on the fabric. And then I'm just going to hot glue it, and then I'm going to do the same going vertically, going to hot glue some in the middle and go around. And then I realized, oh, this piece is too small, but don't worry. I'm going to hot glue this on, and then I'm just going to take another piece of that fabric that I cut out, and I'm just going to glue it right over top of that and then bring it up to the middle. And then I'll just cut off the fabric and glue it down, and nobody would even know that that was 2 pieces. And then once I was done with that, I took some more of that fabric and I just made some shoestring bows. Now this fabric does fray a lot. I had a lot of little strings everywhere. I was okay with that because I really wanted this to have a more rustic, primitive look. Now, I had a subscriber ask me to do some primitive Christmas in July, and I kind of had to look that up because I'm like, okay, so in my mind, primitive and rustic are pretty much the same thing. And so I wanted to look, and primitive is actually more of an old-fashioned, muted colors, kind of more of the darker colors like the maroons and darker greens, stuff like that. And they are a little more simple. I noticed like there's not a lot of big bows and stuff like that, but there's a lot more greenery. So I'm trying to kind of go a little more primitive. This might be a little more rustic primitive maybe, but my next video on the 17th will have a lot more primitive. So I am going to add some of these pieces I got in from Amazon. I ordered them, and I am just hot gluing them to the back of that ribbon. And then also it came, the package I got came with these little berries and came with pine cones and some acorns and some little wood stars. So I just took a few things out here, and I'm just kind of hot gluing them around. And then I took these bells. I ordered these bells as well. They have all kinds of different sizes. I'm excited about these bells. I got some great ideas for Christmas for them, which is only a couple months away of doing Christmas DIYs, you guys. That's just crazy to think about. But anyways, I'm just taking some of the twine that came with it, and I'm tying it around that bell because we all know that hot glue and metal don't like each other. So I didn't want to try and hot glue that bell. So I'm just putting a little bit hot glue, and I'm adding that twine to it. And then I'm doing that right behind that bow, so it kind of hides it. And then I kind of cut that string a little too long. It was hanging. I didn't like how it was hanging. So I'm going to add a little dab of hot glue and just kind of smush that twine into it and then hold it in place. And that's all there was. I did this for all of them. The first one was the biggest one. I did a little bit different, but I really love how these came out. You'll have to let me know what you think about these as well in the comment box below. So I'm going to use, again, this Tuscan Red color by Apple Barrel. I love it. And then I'm going to use some Scrabble tiles, and then this picture frame I got from Dollar Tree. Those Scrabble tiles I got from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store. And then this paper, scrapbook paper, came from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to start off by removing the hanger from the back of this picture frame, and then I'm going to remove the back. I just pull up the clips. Now, when you push these up, you do want to be careful because they do break easy. I have had them break on me in the past. And then I'm going to use my heat gun and my paint scraper to remove that middle piece from that back of the sign. After that, I took that and I laid it on my scrapbook paper, and I'm going to trace it out, and then I cut that paper out so that it fits. Then I'm going to use my school glue here, and I'm just going especially over the edge. I want to make sure there's plenty of glue along the edge so that it sticks, and then I will put some glue all around the middle as well. And after I have this all glued up, I'm going to put my scrapbook paper on it. Now, if you don't have this scrapbook paper, if you have a printer at home, you could definitely download printer music, or sheet music. You could even print out Oh Holy Night if you want to. And then I took my a sander, and I'm just sanding this. You want to be really careful because it is kind of I don't know if it's a paper or if whatever they use is lightweight, because it can kind of tear it. But this has a real shiny sheen to it, and so I wanted to sand it so that it would help the paint adhere. Once I was done sanding it, I did wipe it down, and then I painted it with that Tuscan red. Now, I did have to go over it like 3 times to get that paint to really adhere completely. If it was chalk paint, it probably I wouldn't have needed to do so many coats, but acrylic paint is a little thinner. So after I was done, I put the back in place, and I should have painted the back of the sign. It would have looked much better. And then I took my Scrabble tiles, and I am going to hot glue them in place. And it just says, Oh Holy Night. And after I had that all done, I am going to take, I sure hope I glued that in on a little more straight. I think I do. Anyways, I am going to take some of this table scatter and hot glue 2 pieces in each corner. Now, this table scatter I got a couple of years ago. I think it was at Walmart. It was either Walmart or Hobby Lobby, and I absolutely love this stuff. And this last Christmas, I kept going to both those stores looking to see if I could find any, and nope, I couldn't find any, which really bummed me out because I love it. It's just perfect for some smaller details, and yeah, oh well. Hopefully I can find some this year maybe. So then in the package of stuff that I got from Amazon, excuse me guys, I did get some of these beads, or not beads, these little berries, and I'm hot gluing them in place. They did come with the little wire stems on them, so I'm just going to cut those little stems off with my wire cutters, and then I will hot glue those in the bottom greenery pieces as well. And then once I have that all done, I did take some jute twine, and I tied knots on the end, and then I'm going to hot glue them in the back to make a little hanger. And that's all there was for this. This was really simple and easy, but I just think it's really pretty. I love that Tuscan red color for Christmas. I love it. Anyways, you have to let me know what you think about this one as well. Okay, here we go with DIY number 4. So another easy one, guys. So this one, I'm going to use this Chalk Couture transfer. It's called Joy. And then I'm going to use 3 2x4 blocks that I cut down, and I believe they do measure out to be about 3 inches. If you don't have these, or it looks like 3.5. If you don't have these blocks, you could definitely use the foam dice from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to use my chalk paste in the color Black Velvet. I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Sandstone. And then I'm going to use the Folk Art Antique Green in the Apple Barrel Tuscan Red acrylic paints. No, chalk and acrylic paints. And then I took each one of those paints and painted each one of those blocks with each color, front and back and sides. After they were dry, I am taking my wax. This is by Chalk Couture. and I'm just covering the front with it. This is because the wood is so porous and not completely smooth. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice. But the wax just helps the transfer to not bleed, and it helps the wax, the paste go on nicer. So I cut down my joy word, as you can see, and I'm just going to fuzz it because I haven't used it before. If you're not familiar with Chalk Couture, it is a adhesive silk screen stencil. And the reason why we fuzz it the first time we use it is because we don't want it to pull up the paint once we pull it up. So after I have them all fuzzed, I'm just laying them in place where I want them to be. And then I'm going to use my chalk paste, and I'm just going to go over each one of those silk screen areas. Now, if you are interested in Chalk Couture and would like to try it, I always suggest the Chalk Couture Club. It is $21.99 a month. You get an exclusive 8x11 transfer as well as 3 coordinating single paste. And I think it's a great way to try it out and see if you like it. If you do subscribe, you do have to at least subscribe for 3 months before you cancel. But I love using this stuff, and I just always think it makes everything look so professional and high end. And yeah, you'll see that here in just a moment. So after I got my chalk paste on here, you'll see that I'm going to lift my transfer. That's because I don't want the chalk paste to dry on my silk screen, because if it does, then when you pull up your transfer, it will pull up some of that chalk paste and it won't look as nice. So once I had them all done, I went and washed off my transfers right away. That's something you want to do. And then once they were dry, I took my wood glue, and I'm going to take some hot glue, and I'm going to start adding them together, one on top of the other. Now, I went back and forth on whether or not I should do them next to each other, side by side, or up and down vertically. So I decided to go ahead and do vertically, but you could definitely do this horizontally. Oh my goodness. It's too early in the morning, I think. And I think that would look great too. So after that, I'm going to make a quadruple finger bow, and I'm just wrapping my fingers 4 times with my twine here. And then when you make a finger bow, you always want the tail to be a little long because you're going to need it for wrapping. And after that, I had to kind of position my fingers a little bit better here. But I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to wrap it around those loops that are on my finger. And I'm going to come back around and go through that loop. And then I'm going to tighten. I'm going to leave my fingers in there while I tighten. And then that's all there was for that. And then I'm going to trim off those legs and hot glue that to the top part of my cubes. Then I'm going to take some more of this table scatter. I'm going to hot glue, I think 3 of them to the bottom, making sure that it's not keeping my blocks from being able to stand. And then once I have them on there, I took one of these little snowballs that comes with those table scatter and hot glue that in the bottom as well. And there it is. I love how this came out. I think it's so pretty. I love those colors together. And yeah, I think it looks primitive, don't you? Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use a 5-gallon paint stir stick. I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color crimson. I'm going to use this 12-inch wood round from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to start off with removing that hanger from that wood round. Super easy, you guys. And then I marked that stir stick with my pencil on where I wanted to cut it. And then I took it out and cut it with my miter saw. Then I just painted one of the sticks and that wood round with my crimson. Once it was dry, I took my antique wax, and I am just using a paper towel, and I'm just going around the wax with a brush here. I'm going around the wood round. Oh my word, that's a mouthful. With my antique wax, and then I'm just brushing it or wiping it with my paper towel. And I'm doing that because primitive crafts look old and kind of antique-ish. And so that's why I am using the antique wax here, just to give it that old time feel. And then once I had the wood round all completed, excuse me guys, I went around that wood piece, the paint stick, with the wax as well. Then I took my pencil here and I'm just trying to draw what will look like holes in the bottom of my bell. And then after I drew that out, I took my paint, my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I'm just painting all along that that I drew. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a fun one, you guys. I am just having quite the time speaking. After I had both of those done, you have to let me know what you think if that looks like a bell. My husband thought I should add more of those, and I didn't think so, but I don't know. Let me know. Anyways, I took my wood glue and my hot glue here, putting it along the back of my paint stick, and then I'm just going to place it in the middle of my wood round. Then I took some of these greenery picks. I got these off of Amazon, and I'm just cutting the little pick part down, and then I'm going to use my hot glue and glue them just going along the side part of my bell. And I'm just going to layer this one on top of that one, just like you see me doing right there. And then once I was done with that, I took some string, some twine here, and I'm putting it through my bells and just tying a little knot to hold them in place. And then I cut them down one longer than the other. And this one is going to be about the same length as the other one that I measured there. Then I'm just going to hot glue. I tied knots on the ends of those, and then I'm just going to hot glue them onto my wood round, just like you see me doing right there. Then I took some of this ribbon. Now this ribbon came with those bells. I got those bells from Amazon, and I'm just doing a finger bow. I think it's a double finger bow. Just wrapping my fingers twice, and then I'm just taking that tail here. I'm going to wrap it around all of those loops, and then I'm going to come back around and go through that loop that I went around the other loops with. I was having a hard time keeping it in my fingers there. Then I just pulled tight, really tight on that end to make sure that it's all nice and tight. And then I just kind of fluff it, and I'm going to hot glue it right over where I have all of those bells glued on. And then after that, I'm just going to cut the ends at an angle, just because it's kind of hard to cut dovetails on that thin of ribbon. And then I'm going to put that twine back in, or that hanger back on. I probably should have done this before I added my greenery. Kind of was a little hard to get it in, but I got it in, and there it is. I absolutely love how this came out. I just think it's so pretty. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. DIY number 2, and I apologize if you hear my grandsons in the background. They're playing games and they're kind of loud. So I'm going to start out by using my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster and antique wax. I'm going to use a strip of this fabric I got from Hobby Lobby, and then 3 of these wood ornament pieces I got from Amazon, and then this cutting board from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by taking a paper towel and just adding some of that antique wax over my cutting board, and I do this the front and the back. I just wanted, again, give it a more darker finish, which gives it a little more of a rustic look. After that, I took my chip brush here, and I am just doing a dry brushing all along the middle of each one of those wood rounds, and I just didn't want it to be a real thick coverage, and so that's why I decided to just kind of do more of a dry brushing. Once they were done, I took my black Sharpie here, and I'm just making some eyes for the snowman, and then I'm going to make a smile by just making polka dots into a smile form. And then after I have this smile all completed, I'm going to use that little orange Sharpie to make his nose. And I'm just going to do a triangle, but I'm going to do it like sideways, a sideways triangle. And then I just colored it in. And then once I was done with that, I took my pieces and I'm just going to start hot gluing. Now this is the biggest piece out of all, and then the next one was a little bit smaller, and then of course the head was even smaller. So I'm just going to hot glue each piece in place, just like you see. I'm covering up the little ornament hole they have there, and then I'm going to add the head. And you guys, this thing comes out so adorable. I just absolutely love how this came out. And then after that, I'm going to take some of that fabric, I cut it down, and I just tied a little knot in the middle, and then I hot glued it around his neck to look like a scarf. Then I took the back of a paintbrush, and I'm just going around making dots all along the rest of that cutting board so that it looks like snow falling. And then after I had that done, I decided to just kind of make it look like a mound of snow on that underneath that snowman. And I'm just taking that plaster and just kind of painting it all in. And yeah, I'll say it again. I really love the way this came out. So once I had it to the way I liked it, I took my Sharpie and I colored in a couple of buttons for the snowman, just like you see right there. And then I took some felt and I cut down a little square and a long rectangle piece, and I'm just going to hot glue that square on top of the snowman's head. And then I'm going to put the rectangle piece right above it so he has a little hat. I don't know why I glued all the way across when it's only going to be part of it that's glued down. Oh my goodness. So after that, I took a tag. I got these tags, I believe, from Hobby Lobby, and I am just writing out Merry Christmas. Now, when I write it out, I am doing little dots. I got this from Tracy at, what's her I can't think of her channel name. I'll have it in my description box. Country Craft something country. But anyway, she calls them happy dots. And so I am just trying my best to make this look cute because I don't like my handwriting, but I think it came out pretty cute. Adding those little dots really does help. So I'm just writing out Merry Christmas and doing all of that. And then I took a black paint pen and I'm just going and coloring all around the edge of that tag. I just think it gives it just another depth of dimension, and I don't know, I just really like the way it came out. After that, I decided to take my antique wax. I have a little sponge brush here, and I'm just sponging it kind of on, brushing it kind of on, just to kind of darken that tag a little bit more, make it a little more antique-ish looking. Then I took some more of that fabric, and I'm just tying a knot in it as well. I cut it down, tied a knot in it, and then I'm going to hot glue it right where that hole on that tag is. And then after that, I'm just going to glue it onto my sign right next to the snowman. Oh, it's so cute. Then I took some tumbling tower blocks. I'm going to take 2 sets of 3 and I'm hot gluing them together. Now these came in that color. The box of tumbling tower blocks that I got from Dollar Tree, some of them were natural color and some of them were painted brown. So I'm just hot gluing them to the back of my cutting board there so it will stand. And then I took one of these picks and I cut off the pick part, and I'm just going to hot glue this right along so it looks like a little tree there in the forest with the snowman. And I absolutely love how this came out. You will have to let me know what you think about this one as well, but I just think it is so stinking adorable. Okay, DIY number 2. And those of you that have been around with me a lot, you know I love gingerbread. So I have these plastic candy containers from Dollar Tree. They come in a 2-pack, 2 for $1.25. I'm going to paint them with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Hazelnut. Now I did have to paint them twice. I had to put 2 coats on them so that it looked dark and like it should be. And I'm going to do the bottom as well. And then I'm also going to do the lids that come off of them. Now I had 4. I'm going to use all 4 of these candy jars, but I'm only going to paint 2 of them. If you want to recreate this, you could always paint the bottom as well. You'll see what I'm going to do with it, but I just thought it would be fun to leave the bottom clear so that you can see what we're going to put inside of it. Now I'm going to create some faces on these, and I'm just using my paintbrush there to help me know how to draw circles because I don't do very good straight circles. And see, even outlining them with a pin, I don't do a very good job. But anyways, I'm just going to color in those eyes with my black marker, and you'll see what I'm doing here. But originally, I planned on having it to where the open part was up instead of down like it is right there. And after I got the face painted on, I went, oh man, I did it the wrong way. So I had to improvise. If you want to recreate this, you could do it with the lid part up. And I'll tell you why in a minute here. But once I had the face all painted in, I also took my red marker here to create the nose. I'm going to give it some little cheeks. And this is going to be my female gingerbread person. And then I just kind of look at it again, and I'm going to color in, give it some white on the eyes there. And again, I always go on Pinterest and type in gingerbread faces, gingerbread people faces or something like that, and get an idea of the different ways you can make their eyes and faces and stuff. And I go from there. And then after I had that done, I thought, oh, put a little bit of white in the mouth, I think on the nose and stuff, the cheeks, everything. It just brings it to life a little bit more. Gives it a little more interest, I think. So after that, I am going to give it some eyelashes. I'm like, oh, it needs eyelashes here and some eyebrows. And then I took my white paint marker and I'm going to make like icing lines. And I'm just going to go all around the lid. That should be at the top, not at the bottom, if I would have not been thinking right. But look at the bottom back. I tried to use my heat gun. I thought I didn't have it in one space very long, but look at it, it started melting. So don't use your heat gun on these. Yeah, because it wasn't on there for very long at all. So then I went ahead and did some icing marks around the face as well. And I'm just going to go all the way around it. And I do paint the lid of the one that it's going to go on top of. But I don't paint the rest of the candy jar. I keep the candy jar unpainted, but the lid I did paint. I just felt like it looked a little bit better. This one I'm going to put a little bow on the top because she's a girl. And then I'm going to glue this. I'm going to use hot glue and Fix-All glue. I should have done the Fix-All glue first after I did this. I'm like, what am I thinking? But anyways, it still worked. And I'm just doing the Fix-All glue for the permanent hold, hot glue for immediate hold. And then I glued them on top of the non-painted one. This is going to be the boy, so I'm just kind of doing his eyes a little bit different, giving him some eyelashes but a little different, and some eyebrows. And instead of a bow on his head, I decided to, well, I'm going to glue them together first. And you can see on the bottom there, I filled them up with candy, with some peppermints. I thought that would be fun. So this would be a great little like neighbor gift, teacher gift, little gift for your grandkids, fill it up with some candy, some Hershey's Kisses or something. That's why I said if you did the face part the other way, you could fill both of them up because they're not very big. But I just thought this was going to be really fun. So I added some of the puff paint to the top there to kind of cover the bottom of the candy jar. And then I'm adding some little sprinkles that I have. These are polymer clay. I can't say it. Anyways, I got them from Amazon and there they are. I just love them. I think they're adorable. You have to let me know in the comment box below. Number 2. So I'm going to take these letters from Hobby Lobby. They're 4-inch letters. I'm going to paint the J with the 2 little blocks with my white. I'm going to paint the O with the 2 little blocks and that wood piece with apple barrel burnt umber. I'm going to paint the white with, I'm sorry, not white, the Y and the little blocks with my red or crimson by Waverly. So before I painted the brown with the brown, I decided, or burnt umber, I should say, I decided to spray it with water because I wanted it to be a little more like a stain, but I probably should have sprayed it with more water because it was still pretty dark or darker than what I wanted. So once I finished brushing this all onto my O, I took a napkin and or a paper towel, and I wiped off all the excess, just like you would using the antique wax. But it still was too dark, and so I used a baby wipe instead, and that really helped lighten it up. So I did that with the wood piece as well. And then once I was done, I created this with my Cricut, and I'm just going to attach it to my wood piece here. And then after that, I do have some Christmas stencils here in one of my drawers. And so I found this one with the snowflake, and I am just going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and I'm going to add a snowflake to each end of my wood plank here, or the each end of the word. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, you guys. I hope you do. Anyways, And when I get done with that one, then I decided I wanted a snowflake on my O as well. So I'm going to make 4 snowflakes on my O. And for some reason, I thought you needed to watch me do 4 snowflakes on my O. I am sorry, because you probably don't really need to see me doing 4 snowflakes, but that's what happens when I'm watching TV with my grandkids while I'm editing. I say that all the time, and it's true. I edit and then I'm kind of not paying as close of attention as I should when I'm watching TV. So once I have this all on there, I am going to use my wood glue and my hot glue. I'm going to glue 2 of those blocks together. So I have 3 sets when no, I lied. I glued both of them to the back of my letters. That's what I did. I didn't glue them together. I just glued them on the back, just like you see. Then I was going to, I used my wood glue and hot glue, and I started to glue the letters onto my block, and then I went, oh no, like Kathy Joe. And I wanted to do something on my Y and my J. So I took my Y, and I'm using my white chalk paint, and I'm just going to use that round sponge dauber to dab on some whatever. Anyways, on some polka dots. And when you use this, it doesn't give a real smooth look. It kind of has a dimpling look, which I don't really like. So once I have all my polka dots on here, then I'm going to take a small paintbrush and dip it in my white paint, and I'm going to go paint all around the inside of the dots to just kind of give it more of a smoother look. And then once I am done with that, I'm going to take my J, and I'm going to use the crimson color chalk paint. I'm going to do the same thing, and then I will use a small brush to paint it all in as well. Once I was done with that, I am going to use my wood glue and hot glue to glue both of those, or the rest of those letters, onto my little wood piece there. I'm going to make a finger bow, a double loop, and I'm just going to wrap my fingers twice. I'm going to take that in, go between my fingers, bring it up through that loop that I just made, and then I'm going to pull tightly. Now I do this very slowly so that you guys can see it, because it's kind of hard to explain, and I really fumble over myself most of the time trying to explain it. So then after that, I'm going to take some of this ribbon. I've had this since I started my channel, and I think I got it at Hobby Lobby, but it might have been Walmart. And I'm just going to make a bow doing the awareness ribbon, and I'm going to scrunch it up in the middle, and then I'm going to use that twine to tie a knot in the middle to hold it in place. And then after it is tied, I will cut off the excess of the twine there, and then I'm going to dovetail the ends by folding it in half and cutting at an angle. Then I'm going to glue that to the bottom of my O, and then I'm going to glue that twine bow on top of it, and that is all there is for this. I love how this turned out. It is a fun little shelf setter, perfect for Christmas. I hope you like it as well. Let me know in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 3. So for this DIY, I'm going to take a 12 by 12 piece of wood plywood from Woodpecker's Crafts. I marked off, I think, 2 inches from the top and the bottom, and I'm going to paint the back and the middle with my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. Then I used my painter's tape to protect my plaster color paint because I am a crazy painter. And I took this Folk Art True Burgundy. One of my subscribers told me she loves this color, and so I got it last year when I was doing the primitive Christmas stuff, and I just love it. And it's such a rich color, and it's going really well, almost perfect with what I'm going to use for this. So once I had that dry, I took one of these transfers from IOD. I got this last year for Christmas, or around Christmas time, before Christmas, and I'm going to take this transfer here. I'm going to place it right in the middle, and then I'm going to use my little rubbing tool to rub it right onto my board. Now, I know not a lot of you can afford IOD, and I understand because it is kind of expensive and I don't get very much of it, but this is just for inspiration, just like my Chalk Couture. If you can't afford that either, use it as an inspiration. Take what I do and look at what you have and what can you do to replace it and to make it your own. So for instance, this, I know you can find all kinds of stencils on Amazon for not a very bad price. A lot of times they come with 10 or 12 stencils for like 10, 12 bucks. So, you know, I know there's stuff about candy canes on those stencils because I have some. So, you know, just make it your own and use this as inspiration on things that you can do. So once I had that all done, I am going to add some of this braided jute ribbon that I absolutely love. This is in my Amazon store. I get this every time. And it seems like every time I run out, I go to order more and it's out of stock or whatever. And I have to wait like a couple of months before they have it back. So I need to order sooner, I guess. But anyways, I love this stuff. I use it all the time. I'm just going to glue it over where the crimson and the burgundy meet. Then I'm going to make a bow the way Kathy Jo makes it. I watched her video and when she was showing how to make it, I'm like, that looks pretty easy. I'm going to try it. So I'm going to wrap this as 3 times, I believe I do. So as you can see, I kind of do the first part at an angle and then just start kind of wrapping over itself. And yes, my ribbon was all twisted because I had previously done this, but I wrapped it too many times and I ended up with a 5-loop bow and I didn't like it. It was too big. So I had to undo it. So my ribbon is kind of twisted from doing that, but I just wrap it 3 times and then I'm going to take the end. Now you don't want to wrap around that tail. I started to, and then I'm like, wait, I don't want to do that. So I had to pull the tail out and then I'm just going to wrap around the middle here and I'm going to bring this long piece through what I just wrapped and then pull tightly. And then after it's all tight, you can start fluffing your bow. I will cut the end of that so that it's not so long, but I will just start pulling them out and fluffing them. And then I have a beautiful 3-loop bow, just like my best friend Kathy Jo makes. And then after that, I will trim off the excess tails and I'm going to dovetail again by folding in half and cutting at an angle. I will have a link to her video too so you can see how she makes them. Then I took this. Now I just recently found this at Dollar Tree. I thought I'm going to see. Sometimes my Dollar Tree has their old Christmas florals still. And they had this and I was like, perfect, because I don't want to go up my attic to 100-degree weather in my 100-degree attic to go through all my Christmas totes. So I just thought it'd be easier. And then, of course, Hobby Lobby, they already have some of their Christmas picks. And I got this one the other day. It was only a couple of dollars. So I thought it'd work out just fine for what I needed. And so I'm just kind of laying this all out, trying to see how I want to place it. And I am just going to use my stapler to keep those greenery picks in place. I'm going to staple them twice. And then I'm going to use hot glue on the back of my bow to glue that in place, and then I'm going to put a couple of staples in it as well just to make sure that it holds in place. And then after that, I wanted this to be a hanging sign, so I'm going to take some more of that braided ribbon that I have. Oh, before I do that, I forgot I found some poinsettias at Dollar Tree, so I'm just going to hot glue that in the middle of my bow. Then I'm going to hot glue some of this twine ribbon for a hanger, and then I'm going to use my stapler again to staple it for added protection, and there it is, or added strength I should say. And there it is. I love this. I think it is so pretty. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. So for this DIY, I'm going to take 2 of these tree cutouts from, I think these are from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to paint them with Folk Art Antique Green and then this wood piece from Dollar Tree with my Waverly chalk paint and the color plaster. Then once they were all dry, I took a stencil that I got from Amazon. It should be in my Amazon store. And I am just going over it with that antique green. That antique green is such a beautiful color. It's Kathy Jo's favorite, and she got me hooked on it. And I love it too. It's a beautiful, rich, green, true green color, and I just love it. So once I was done with that, I am going to remove my stencil, and then I'm going to take this brush. Now, this is the first time I've ever used this brush, and I wasn't sure if I was using it right. But I just thought, you know what, we're just going to go with it and we'll just see if this looks decent, because I just wanted to have it look, I don't know, like a little more like a tree with a little more dimension. So I gave it a try. Yeah, if you know how to use this brush, let me know what I could do differently. But anyways, once I was done, I took some of this black gingham ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm going to glue it to the end of both of those, or both ends of that sign. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to lay it down on top of my trees. I'm going to use a pin and I'm just going to mark where it's laying, so that way I know where to put my glue. So then I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue, and I'm going to put the wood glue on the middle of my area that I marked out. And this is called a glue bot, and Kathy Joe got me this for my birthday. I do have it in my Amazon store if you're interested in it. It's great. And then I am yeah, I love it and it works really nice. So after I had both glues there, I'm going to lay my sign down on top of my tree, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other tree and then just lay that on top as well. And again, the hot glue is for immediate hold. The wood glue is for permanent hold. I'm going to make just some shoestring bows here. I'm going to, with that gingham ribbon, and then once I have it just like I like it, I will trim off the tail, and then I will dovetail the ends just like I do with all the rest of my bows. You can always cut them at an angle too if you'd rather do that, or you can leave them square, whatever you like, whatever makes you happy. Then I'm just going to hot glue those to each side there, and then I'm going to take some of those little blocks. I went over them with that burnt umber, and then I'm going to use my Titebond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to glue those two blocks together, and then I'm going to glue this each set on the back of the tree. And that's all there was for that. I love this. I think it is so pretty. I think it's a fun shelf sitter. And yeah, you have to let me know what you think about this one as well. Okay, DIY number one. So I'm going to take this wood round from Dollar Tree. I think it's 12 inches. And I'm going to take this wood piece from Hobby Lobby and paint them both with my Waverly chalk paint in the color hazelnut. Once it was dry, I'm going to put on a decal, or several decals, that I found on Cricut Design Space. And this is the face of a gingerbread lady. Now, I am using my HTV Ront vinyl. If you didn't see my previous video, you might want to check that out. I'll leave a link to it in my description box. But I received some vinyl from HTV Ront to try. I really enjoyed it. It's very nice vinyl. And so I am using that once again. There will be a coupon code later in the video for you to look at in case you want to order some during Prime Days on Amazon, and it's good through July 31st, but that will be a little later in the video. I'll pop that up. But yeah, they have great vinyl if you have a Cricut, and I would recommend trying it out. So here I am just putting on all the little pieces that go to the face, and then had to add a little bow to it. And you guys, they have all kinds of different faces. I thought it was really kind of cool. I created some more items to go on this little sign, and it's gonna say Sweet Christmas Wishes, and I'm just getting the rest of it on here just like you see. And then after that, I'm going to line those up, and I'm kind of eyeing where I want to make some holes because I'm going to have this hang from my wood round, and I'm just like I said, eyeing it and marking it with a pencil. And then I took my big mouth crocodile and I created holes on the bottom of the wood round and then the top of the other wood piece there. And then I'm going to take some of this twine. I think I got this, yeah, I got this from Dollar Tree last year. And I am just threading it through the holes, just like you see. That way it will I'm going to tighten the back and it will hang from the bottom of my wood round. And then that's pretty much it for this one, I think. Oh, wait, I'm going to add a hanger with the same twine, doing the same thing. Put some tape on the end of my twine and thread it through and tie knots. Uh, Once I get the right length, tie the other knot, and there it is. And it's super easy, but I just think it's adorable. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. DIY number 2. So I'm going to take this little square rolling pin that I got from Dollar Tree last year. I removed the little bow, and then I'm just sanding it, just kind of giving it a little bit of a sand to help my paint adhere a little bit better. And then I wiped it all up, and I'm taking some painter's tape and taping off the bottom part of my handles. And then I'm going to paint that with 2 gingerbread wood cutouts that I got from Amazon last year. I'm going to paint them with Waverly chalk paint in the color hazelnut. I have a 10-inch and a 12-inch chunky wood piece from Dollar Tree. I painted one white and one red. And then I took this stencil that I got from Amazon last year. I believe this is in my Amazon store. And I am going over the word gingerbread with my white chalk paint by Waverly. I'm just dabbing it on with my stencil brush. And then I took my white wood piece here and I'm doing the bottom part. It says baked or bakery, I think. I don't even know what it says. And I'm going over it with Waverly chalk paint in the color crimson. And then once I was done with that, I guess I'm going to finish it here, let you see me finish. I cleaned off my stencil, of course, and once I remove it, and then I'm going to use the very bottom part. It says made with love, and it has different things that they make. Oh, before I do that, I forgot. I took a really small brush. Well, first of all, I took a pencil and I drew in some lines, and then I took a really small brush and I'm just going to paint in some lines just to kind of give it like a candy cane striped look, because we all know that candy cane and gingerbread go well together. So I'm just painting it in just like you see, and I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. I will get to the very end here in just a second or two. And then after I have this all painted, I set it aside to dry, of course. And this is where I'm going to do the next set of stenciling. I took my red block and I'm going over the words with my Waverly chalk paint in the color hazelnut. And then I'm going to remove that, clean my stencil, and then I took some puff paint and I'm just going to make some icing dripping from the top part of this sign. And then I'm going to set that aside for quite a few hours and let it dry. I think it helps being in summertime because I have my fan going above me, and I think that really helps these things dry a little bit faster. But I took my wood glue and my hot glue here. I'm going to start connecting the two pieces, and I was sitting there thinking, oh, I should have done the icing dripping after I connected it all, but I just connected the two and waited until the dripping was dried enough to connect the other one. So then I took some black puff paint and I am going to make some eyes, and as you saw, I had a big blob come out when I first opened it, but I got it wiped up, fixed it, and then I made some mouths with some white puff paint, and I also made little white noses. Then I took my red puff paint and I'm making some little buttons on the guy. I decided to try and make a skirt on the girl, but it looks more like shorts. My granddaughter was in here and she's like, that doesn't look like a girl. That looks like a boy wearing shorts. I'm like, well, it's supposed to be a skirt. So I thought, well, I'll try and see if I can kind of give her a little collar. And I tried to give her a collar here, and she goes, that looks like a bow tie. It still looks like a boy. I'm just like, how am I going to make this look more feminine? But I took some white puff paint, made the little dots for her buttons. And then I decided, okay, well, I'll put a bow on him, and maybe the you can tell that it's a boy and a girl. And I then went with some white puff paint and made the little zigzag lines on the legs and the feet. I did that on both the female and the male. I do end up I tried to make a little red bow on her head. It didn't look good, so I cover it up with a bow at the end. But I took these little gingerbread dudes that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to use some wood or my multi-purpose glue, Type Bond quick and thick multi-purpose glue, and hot glue to attach them. And then I'm taking that same glue, adding it to the top of that sign with my hot glue, and added those together. And of course this was a few hours later because I wanted to make sure all that puff paint was dry. I took some little pieces of blocks from the cubed blocks, and I'm painted them with the hazelnut, and I'm gluing them to the back of my gingerbread people. Kind of had to move that one there to make it right because I wanted these to lay on the corner of my rolling pins, so I'm just using hot glue there to glue them on. And this one I decided, well, I'm just going to glue this in place on the top and glue the gingerbread person to it. But there is the twine that I used for the bow. I just did a little shoelace bow, glued it onto her head to make her look like a girl. And then I made some more frosting streaks with my puff paint here, and then I also used it to make some like hair on the guy, kind of a, I don't know what I was doing, but anyways, I think it came out darling. I absolutely love it. I think it is so fun. You'll have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Wine number 4. So I'm going to take this MDF latte mug piece from Dollar Tree, and I removed that bow and the twine, and then I'm just going to remove the paper. It came off pretty easy. I did have to use my little scraper a little bit to get it started, but then it all came off pretty easily. Once I had that first layer completely off, then I am going to, oh my goodness, sorry, I didn't mean to show you all of that. I'm going to spray it with water, and I spray it really well. You let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then I just use my paint scraper to scrape it right off, just like that. And then once I had all of that gook and yuckiness all removed, see my granddaughter's little finger there, I painted it with Waverly chalk paint in the color hazelnut, and then I painted the top part with my Waverly chalk paint in the color white. Then I took a black marker, and I'm going to make some little eyes here. I kind of wish I would have made these eyes a lot bigger, more like the other one that I did, but oh well. And then I took my red marker, made a mouth. I took some pink. I should have done this part before I did the mouth, but that's just what it is. Anyways, I'm making some cheeks. And then after that, I'm going to take my red marker again and color in a nose. And then I am going to make a little line over the nose to give it some dimension, and then I made some very crooked eyebrows. And I decided, okay, I need to make my eyes bigger, so I did make my eyes bigger on this. Oh, I guess this is the one I was talking about. Oh my goodness, never mind, it was the other ones that were too small that I wish I would have made. Anyways, I added some white dots into that, and then I'm going to add some rickrack all around this little cute gingerbread latte cup. And then after I had that done, I took the only holly and berries that I could find. It was kind of bigger than what I needed, so I just kind of cut them down, and I'm going to use hot glue to glue them in place here. And then I'm going to glue those beautiful red shiny, now these came from Hobby Lobby at Christmas time last year. It was like 99 cents for the pick, and I just thought the berries were so pretty, so I had grabbed a pick or two. I did go through some of my Christmas stuff up in the attic a week or so ago, and kind of brought some of this stuff down that I thought I would use, so I don't have to try and scrounge around my craft room, which, because I knew a lot of this stuff I didn't have it in here. So anyways, I glued that in, and then I decided I wanted another leaf, so I just kind of glued that in there on the bottom. And then I took this. Now this was in the dollar plus section. It was originally $3, but they were getting rid of it, so they marked it down to $1.25. So I grabbed it and I painted it with my Waverly chalk paint in the color crimson. Then I took all these letters. These are from Hobby Lobby. I laid them out on some painter's tape, and I'm painting them with my Waverly chalk paint in the color hazelnut. And I'm just going to go over all of them And then once I was done, I dried them with my heat gun, and then I laid them all out on my sign, and I'm taking a pencil here to trace my mug where I'm going to lay it so that I know where to place my glue. And then I use my wood glue here, and I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue. Of course, the wood glue is for permanent hold and the hot glue is for the immediate hold. And then I am just going to watch what I do. So I lay my cup there, and I wanted to look at it. Forgot that I didn't glue my letters down yet, and I went, oh man. So I got them back, laid back out the way I wanted them, and I'm using my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to glue all of my letters in place. And you guys, by the time I got done with the word gingerbread, the G was already stuck. So that's how fast the stuff sticks. It sticks really fast. I just love it. And I should get paid by them for how many times I talk about that stuff. So then once I had them all glued on, I took a little white marker, and I'm just going to do some white stitch lines all along the letters there. And that's all there is for this, I think. I don't think I did anything. Oh yeah, I did. I added some more of those little gingerbread people, and I just used my Tight Bond because I knew this was going to lay for a little bit before I needed to use it, so I didn't worry about the hot glue. I'm just going to add that glue, and there it is. I love this. I just think it is so adorable. I hope you like this as well. DIY number 2. So I'm going to take this one of these Dollar Tree signs. I'm going to remove the hanger from it. I'm going to paint the front of it and the back with my Waverly chalk paint in the color crimson. And then I took one of the square wood pieces from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint that with my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. Once they were dry, I had this stencil. I bought this, I don't know how many years ago. I think it was at Michael's. It's a Martha Stewart stencil. And I found it. I'm like, man, I haven't even used this yet. So I am going to go over I taped it onto that little wood piece, and I went over the bow with my crimson color. And then I'm using a small paintbrush to just color in or paint in the little berries. And then I'm going to use another small brush to paint in the greenery part. And it didn't take really all that long. It's kind of relaxing to sit and do that. It's almost kind of like coloring, you know? Then I took another part of the stencil set, and I added it to the middle of my wreath, and I put all that painter's tape around so I wouldn't get the red onto the green. And then I'm just going to go over that stencil that says Merry Christmas. And then I'm just going to remove the tape, which was mainly on the edge and on that stencil. So I just had to remove that and wash it. Then I took some of this removable wallpaper, vinyl paper, sorry, from Hobby Lobby. I got this a year or two ago from Hobby Lobby. They come in a roll of different vinyls. I'm going to trace it out and cut it out. And then I decided, since it's removable, to add a little more of my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue with this awesome brush that Kathy Jo got me. It is in Amazon. If you're interested, I have seen it on Amazon. But I wanted to add that glue to the front of my board and then add my vinyl. Then I took some more of that Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to brush it all around the back side of my wood piece here. And then I'm going to attach that to the front of my sign. And after that, I am going to take some tumbling tower blocks. I'm going to do 4 of them. I'm going to glue them together end to end, just like you see. And then I'm going to paint it with my crimson color. After I had it all painted and it was dry, I'm going to use some wood glue and along some of the side of that tumbling tower blocks, and then some hot glue. And then I'm going to use this as a stand to the back of my sign. Now, when I do this, I do tilt my sign back just a little so that it's not straight up and down. When you do it straight up and down, it doesn't like to stand very well. Then I'm just going to add some hot glue to the top corner, and I'm going to add some of these pieces that came from Dollar Tree. This poinsettia came from Dollar Tree, and that's all there was. Simple, very festive. I really love this. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 3. So I'm going to take this cool wall decal I just found at Dollar Tree. I'm going to mark where it's going to lay, and I'm going to use my square ruler here to draw lines, and then I went out to my miter saw and cut it. If you don't have a miter saw, you can use like a box cutter and just score it about 10 times, and then it will cut. Then I painted it with my white chalk paint. And then I took some of that chalk paint with this fan brush, and I'm just going over all of those dark trees to make it look like snow. Now, I do add a little bit of that on the gray trees as well, but I just love how this came out. And I saw this and I thought, you know what? I was trying to figure out what to do, and I thought, to me, this makes me think of Christmas. So I decided to try and make this a little Christmassy. Now, this project isn't your normal Christmas traditional colors, but not everyone does the traditional colors. And I just thought this might be a great idea for something that's a little bit different for Christmas. So after I had that on my board, then I took some wood letters. I got these from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to go over them with the Night Sky by Waverly. And I like to put them on the back of some painter's tape. It just holds all my letters in place and makes it a little easier to paint. After that, I took some of that crystal chalk paint from Waverly, and then some of this glitter acrylic paint from, I believe it's Folk Art, and I'm going to go over these snowflakes. I already painted it with the crystal, and now I'm just going to go over it with the extreme glitter paint. That way it just gives it some shininess and makes it look a little more fun. Then I'm going to use my Tight Bond Quick and Thick multi-purpose glue. I love this glue, you guys. It sets so quickly and it stays longer than hot glue, that's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the back of all my letters and just lay them all in place. And I'll tell you, by the time I'm done, everything is stuck. It's that quick, and I love it. So, and it works so well on all kinds of surfaces. So once I am done and I have all these letters done, I took some of this velvet ribbon from Dollar Tree. I got this at Valentine's Day, and I have to tell you, it's not worth the money. It's $1.25, and all you get is a yard. So anyways, I'm going to do the awareness ribbon as well. Sorry about all the mess going on and the extra hands there. My granddaughter was helping me out. She was unrolling my rolls of ribbon for me so I can store them a little easier. So she grabbed a handful and stuck them all there in front next to me. And I'm just like, okay, you're kind of squishing me out here. But you know what? I was loving having her next to me and us talking and enjoying each other's company as we're both working. It was amazing. So I'm just using some of this, this twine or whatever you want to call it, came from the shelves from Dollar Tree. And I like to save those. And I thought, oh, this is white. It'd be perfect for this sign. So that ribbon the polka dot ribbon came from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm just going to add a hanger. I put some tape on the end of my, I think it's macrame rope, I think is what they call it. But anyways, I'm just going to pull it through and then tie knots on the end and make a little hanger. And that's all there is for this super simple, really different than your normal Christmas projects, but I love it. And it makes me think of cooler weather when we're at 100 degrees. Okay, DIY number 4. So this one is super easy. I'm just going to take some hot glue, put it on the bottom of one of these, I don't know what these are, tree wreath forms. I'm going to take some of the mop heads from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to glue them along the bottom, just like you see. I do glue the top, some of those mop heads as well. And then I'm just going to add the second one here. You can cut it off. I let it overlap. I probably should have just cut it off, but I knew they make a mess. And with my granddaughter there, everything was already a mess and I didn't want to make it worse. So I just glued them all together like that. Then I just took some of this yarn, this red yarn. I've had this in my stash for a while. I made a blanket with it or something at one point, and this was what I had left over. So I am just going to tie a knot around one of those metal bars, and then I'm just going to start wrapping, and I just continue to wrap. Now I do use hot glue at some points to glue it in place. It would have been really easy if it didn't have the round metal piece going around it. That made it kind of difficult, but and that's usually where I had to use the hot glue. But I just kept pulling tight, pushing everything down, pulling tight, and then used hot glue when I needed. But I just kept wrapping it all the way around until I get to the very top here, which I guess I'm showing you a lot more. I wanted you to see, be able to see exactly what I was doing. It was kind of cumbersome because of that round metal piece there that I said that goes around. That kind of, if it wasn't for that, it would have been a lot easier to wrap. But yeah. But anyways, this is a great idea. I know they have smaller, like you can get the smaller plastic trees at Christmas time from Dollar Tree and remove the that tinsel from it and use those. That might make it a little easier. But this is what I had on hand. So here I get to the top and I'm just going to continue wrapping and continue pushing down, and then I add a little hot glue to the top and then finish wrapping it around. Then I just cut it off and trim it and glue the top part down. I took one of these half beads, these bigger half beads, I glued it on in there, so we have a little Santa gnome. And then I took some of these snowflakes and just covered up some of the areas that didn't look so well. And then my granddaughter wanted me to add a little black pom-pom. She found my pom-poms to the top. So we added a little black pom-pom to the top, and there it is. I normally don't make gnomes because my gnomes normally don't turn out, but I think this one came out pretty cute. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. The final reveal is coming right up. Here you